Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the message on his tablet. He read it 3 times before the words made sense. Captain Lisa Grant wanted to see him in her office right away. That was never good news for a maintenance engineer like him. The ship's corridors hummed with their usual noise as Jake walked toward the captain's quarters. The UES Horizon was one of Earth's newest exploration ships, and Jake had spent the last 2 years keeping its engines running smoothly. He liked his job because it was simple and clear. Machines broke down and he fixed them. People were much more complicated. Jake knocked on the captain's door and heard her voice call him in. Captain Grant sat behind her desk, looking tired. Her short brown hair was messy and she had dark circles under her eyes. Next to her stood Dr. Paul Carter, the ship's scientist who studied alien life forms. "Sit down, Jake," Captain Grant said. "We need to talk." Jake sat in the chair across from her desk. His stomach felt tight with worry. "Did I do something wrong, Captain?" "No, nothing like that." She smiled, but it looked forced. "We have a special job for you. 3 days ago, we found a damaged alien ship drifting in space. We brought it aboard and found 1 survivor inside." Jake's eyes went wide. Everyone on the ship had heard rumors about the alien, but most people thought it was just talk. "A real alien?" "Very real," Dr. Carter said. He was a thin man with glasses who always looked excited about something. "She's from a species called the Kalians. She appears to be female, though their biology is quite different from ours." Captain Grant leaned forward. "The alien calls herself Zara. She speaks some of our language through a translation device we found on her ship. The problem is we don't know how to communicate with her properly. Every time someone tries to talk to her, things go wrong." "I don't understand," Jake said. "What does this have to do with me? I fix engines, not aliens." "That's exactly why. We want you," the captain replied. "Our diplomats and scientists have tried talking to her, but nothing works. Dr. Carter thinks we need someone more normal, someone who represents regular humans instead of officials." Dr. Carter nodded quickly. "The alien seems curious about human behavior, but she reacts strangely to formal interactions. We think she might respond better to casual contact with an average crew member." Jake felt his mouth go dry. "You want me to be friends with an alien?" "Not friends exactly," Captain Grant said. "Just show her around the ship. Explain how things work. Help her understand human customs. Think of it as a cultural exchange." "But I don't know anything about culture or diplomacy," Jake protested. "I barely finished high school. Shouldn't you send someone smarter?" "Intelligence isn't the issue. Here," Dr. Carter said. "We need someone genuine, someone who won't overthink every interaction. Your psychological profile shows you're honest, patient, and good with explaining technical things in simple terms." Jake wanted to say no. The idea of spending time with an alien scared him. What if he said something wrong? What if he caused an intergalactic incident? But looking at Captain Grant's tired face, he realized she was counting on him. "Okay," he said finally. "When do I start?" "Right now," the captain said. "Dr. Carter will take you to meet her." They walked through the ship's medical section to a special room that had been prepared for their alien guest. Dr. Carter stopped outside the door and turned to Jake. "A few things you should know," he said quietly. "Zara has blue skin that seems to glow slightly. She has silver markings on her face and arms. She's about your height, maybe a little shorter. Her eyes are larger than human eyes and they're completely black." Jake swallowed hard. Is she dangerous?" "We don't think so. She hasn't shown any aggressive behavior. But Jake, there's something else. She laughs a lot when humans are around. We're not sure why, but it might be their way of showing emotion." "She laughs at us?" "It seems that way. Just try not to take it personally." Dr. Carter opened the door, and Jake got his first look at an alien being. Zara sat on a simple chair near the window, looking out at the stars. Her skin was indeed blue, like the color of deep ocean water, and it seemed to have its own soft light. The silver markings on her face looked like delicate tattoos that moved slightly when she turned her head. When she saw them enter, Zara stood up gracefully. She was wearing a simple gray outfit that the ship's crew had given her. Her large, black eyes fixed on Jake, and then something amazing happened. She smiled, and a sound like wind chimes filled the room. She was laughing at him. "Zara," Dr. Carter said slowly, "this is Jake Morrison. He's going to spend time with you and help you learn about humans." Zara tilted her head and looked at Jake, carefully. Then she spoke, and her voice was musical but strange. The translation device on her wrist turned her words into English. "Hello, Jake Morrison. You are different from the others. Your emotions are louder." Jake didn't know what that meant, but before he could ask, Zara laughed again. The sound was beautiful, but it made Jake feel embarrassed. Was there something funny about the way he looked? "She's very interested in human emotional responses," Dr. Carter whispered to Jake. "Try talking to her normally." Jake stepped forward, feeling awkward. Hello, Zara. Welcome to our ship. I hope you're feeling better." Zara's eyes lit up, and she laughed again, longer this time. She said something in her own language, then waited for the translator. "You show concern for someone you do not know. This is fascinating behavior. Do all humans worry about strangers?" "Well, yes, I guess so," Jake said, confused by her reaction. "We try to help people when they're hurt or in trouble." This seemed to amuse Zara even more. She clapped her hands together, and her laughter filled the room like music. Jake looked at Dr. Carter, who shrugged helplessly. "I think she likes you," the doctor said. "I'll leave you two to get acquainted. Jake, just be yourself and answer her questions honestly." After Dr. Carter left, Jake stood alone with the alien woman, who seemed to find everything about him hilarious. He had no idea what to say or do. This was going to be much harder than fixing engines. "So," Jake said finally, "what would you like to know about humans?" Zara's laughter rang out again, and Jake wondered what he had gotten himself into. For the next 3 days, Jake spent several hours each morning with Zara. Every meeting left him more confused and frustrated than the last. No matter what he did or said, she would laugh at him. When he showed her how the ship's food machines worked, she laughed. When he explained human games and entertainment, she laughed. When he tried to teach her simple English phrases, she laughed even harder. Jake began to dread their meetings. He felt like a circus act performing for an audience that found him ridiculous. The worst part was that Zara seemed genuinely interested in everything he told her, but her constant laughter made him feel like a fool. On the 4th day, Jake walked into Zara's room feeling tired and annoyed. She was sitting by the window again, watching the stars move past as the ship traveled through space. When she saw him, her face lit up with that familiar expression that meant more laughter was coming. "Good morning, Jake Morrison," she said through her translator. "I have been thinking about yesterday's lesson on human friendship. It is remarkable how your species chooses to trust others without knowing their intentions." The wind chime laughter followed, and Jake felt his patience snap. "Why do you always do that?" he asked, his voice sharper than usual. Zara tilted her head, looking confused. "Do what, Jake Morrison?" "Laugh at everything I say. Laugh at everything I do. I'm trying to help you understand humans, but you act like we're all just a big joke to you." Zara's expression changed completely. The light in her skin dimmed slightly, and she looked almost sad. "I do not understand. What is this word, laugh?" Jake stared at her. "The sound you make, that chiming noise. You're laughing at me, aren't you? Making fun of me." "Making fun?" Zara looked even more confused. She touched her translator device and spoke rapidly in her own language. Then she tried again in English. "I think there is an error in translation. Show me this laughing." Jake felt stupid, but he forced himself to demonstrate. He made an exaggerated laughing sound, the kind people make when they think something is really funny. "Ha ha ha," like that, when humans think something is amusing or ridiculous. Zara's eyes went very wide. She stood up quickly and walked over to Jake, studying his face carefully. "You believe I think you are ridiculous?" "Don't you?" Jake asked. "Every time I explain something about humans, you make that sound. It sure seems like you're laughing at us." Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out and gently touched Jake's arm. Her skin was warm and felt slightly electric. "Jake Morrison," she said softly, "I must tell you something important about my people. When Kalians experience strong positive emotions, we make harmonic sounds. What you call laughing, we call singing the heart." Jake felt his anger deflating like a punctured balloon. "Positive emotions?" "Yes. Wonder, admiration, deep respect, gratitude. When I make these sounds around you, it means I am amazed by what you show me." Zara's voice grew more passionate as she continued. "Your species is incredible, Jake Morrison. You help strangers without expecting anything in return. You create bonds with people you barely know. You hope for good things even when life is difficult." Jake sat down heavily in a nearby chair. "So you weren't making fun of me?" "Never," Zara said firmly. "I was expressing how remarkable I find human behavior. In my culture, these sounds are a great honor. It means someone has touched your heart deeply." "But why didn't your translator explain this before?" Zara looked embarrassed. "Kalian emotions are complex. Many of our concepts do not translate well into human languages. I did not realize you were misunderstanding my reactions." Jake felt like an idiot. For days, he had been getting angry at someone who was actually complimenting him. "I'm sorry, Zara. I should have asked instead of assuming." "There is nothing to forgive," she said, sitting down across from him. "This misunderstanding teaches me something important about humans. You feel emotions very strongly, but you also doubt yourselves. You worry about what others think of you." "I guess we do," Jake admitted. "At least I do." Zara made a softer version of her musical sound. "This self-doubt is also fascinating. On my world, we have lost the ability to feel such strong emotions. We cannot form deep connections with others anymore. It is killing our people slowly." Jake looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "My species is dying, Jake Morrison. Not from disease or war, but from loneliness. We have become unable to love, to hope, to dream together. I was sent to study other species to see if we could learn to feel again." "That's terrible," Jake said, and he meant it. The idea of losing the ability to connect with others scared him. "But watching you and your people gives me hope," Zara continued. "Humans embrace emotion even when it causes pain. You choose to care about others even when they might hurt you. You build relationships knowing they might end. This courage is beyond anything my people ever achieved." Jake had never thought of emotions as courage before. To him, feelings were just something that happened, like breathing or sleeping. We don't really have a choice. Emotions just are. Exactly. Zara's excitement made her skin glow brighter. "You cannot turn off your capacity to feel, so you have learned to live with it beautifully. You turn pain into strength, fear into caution, love into action." For the first time since meeting Zara, Jake felt proud instead of embarrassed. "When you put it that way, I guess humans are pretty tough. Tough, yes, but also gentle. Strong, but also kind. You are a species of contradictions that somehow work in harmony." Zara paused, then added quietly, "I have been studying humans for days now, but I think I am learning the most from you, Jake Morrison." "Me? But I'm just an engineer. I fix things." "Yes, and that is what makes you perfect for teaching me. You fix things because you care about keeping them working properly. You help people because you cannot stand to see them struggle. These are not small things, Jake Morrison. These are the qualities that make humans special in the galaxy." Jake felt his face getting warm. Nobody had ever talked about him this way before. "Thank you, Zara. That means a lot to me." Zara made her musical sound again, but this time Jake heard it differently. Instead of laughter, it sounded like the most beautiful expression of joy he had ever heard. "Now," she said, with what Jake was learning to recognize as excitement, "will you continue teaching me about your people? I want to understand everything about human emotions and relationships." Jake grinned. "Sure, but this time when you think something is amazing, maybe you could tell me instead of just making the sound." "I will try," Zara said. "But Jake Morrison, I think you should prepare yourself. I find almost everything about humans amazing. We may be here for a very long time. For the first time since meeting an alien, Jake Morrison looked forward to their next conversation. The days that followed were completely different from Jake's first meetings with Zara. Now that they understood each other better, their conversations became something Jake looked forward to every day. Zara's curiosity about humans seemed endless, and her questions made Jake think about his own species in ways he never had before. "Tell me about human love," Zara asked one morning as they sat in the ship's observation deck, watching stars drift by. "I have heard this word many times, but I do not understand what it means." Jake scratched his head. Love was such a basic, human emotion that he had never really thought about how to explain it. "Well, there are different kinds of love. There's love between family members, love between friends, and romantic love between partners. But what does it feel like?" Zara pressed. "How do you know when you love someone?" "It's hard to describe," Jake said slowly. "When you love someone, you care more about their happiness than your own. You want to protect them and help them succeed. You feel happy when they're happy, and sad when they're sad." Zara's skin glowed with interest. "And this feeling makes humans stronger?" "Sometimes. Love can make people do incredible things. Parents will risk their lives for their children. People will sacrifice everything for someone they love. But love can also make people vulnerable and sad when they lose someone important. But humans choose to love anyway, even knowing it might cause pain." "Most of us do, yes. Life without love would be pretty empty." Zara was quiet for a long time, processing this information. "My people once felt something like this, but it became too overwhelming. Our telepathic abilities made us feel everyone else's emotions as strongly as our own. We learned to shut off our feelings to protect ourselves. But now we cannot turn them back on." Jake felt sorry for her. "That must be very lonely." "It is. We exist, but we do not truly live. We have forgotten what it means to care about each other." Zara looked at Jake with her large dark eyes. "But watching you and your crew, I am beginning to remember what we lost." Their conversation was interrupted by Captain Grant's voice over the ship's communication system. "All hands to emergency stations. We have received a distress signal from an unknown vessel." Jake jumped up. "I should get to the engine room. If we need to change course quickly, they'll need me there." "May I come with you?" Zara asked. "I want to see how humans respond to crisis." Jake hesitated. The engine room wasn't supposed to be accessible to non-crew members, but Captain Grant had told him to help Zara learn about humans, and this would definitely be a learning experience. "Okay, but stay close to me and don't touch anything." They hurried through the ship's corridors as crew members rushed to their positions. Jake was impressed by how calmly everyone moved despite the emergency. There was no panic, just focused efficiency. In the engine room, Jake's team was already checking all systems. His friend Bobby Kim looked up when they entered. "Jake, good timing. We might need extra power if we're going into a rescue situation." "What's the situation?" Jake asked as he started checking power levels. "Unknown ship broadcasting a distress signal. Captain's taking us to investigate." Bobby glanced at Zara with curiosity but didn't comment on her presence. For the next hour, Jake worked to keep the ship's systems running smoothly as they changed course. Zara watched everything with intense focus, asking quiet questions about what each person was doing. Finally, Captain Grant's voice came over the speakers again. "All hands, this is the captain. We have reached the distress signal source. It's a large ship of unknown design with hundreds of life signs aboard. We're going to attempt a rescue operation." Jake felt a familiar tightness in his stomach. Rescue operations were always dangerous, but he also felt proud that his ship was going to help strangers in trouble. It was what humans did. "Jake Morrison," Zara said softly, "your people are going to risk their lives for aliens they have never met." "Of course," Jake replied without thinking. "They need help, but you do not know if they are friend or enemy. You do not know if they will be grateful or hostile. You are putting your own ship and crew in danger for strangers." Jake paused in his work. "Well, when you put it that way, it does sound kind of crazy." But we can't just leave people to die if we can help them. Zara made her musical sound, but quieter than usual. This is what I mean about human courage. You choose to help others even when it might cost you everything. Doesn't everyone do that? Jake asked. No, Jake Morrison. Most species in the galaxy only help their own kind and only when it benefits them. What your crew is doing right now is almost unheard of in space. Jake felt a strange mix of pride and worry. He had never thought of human kindness as unusual before. Over the next several hours, the rescue operation unfolded. The damaged ship turned out to be carrying Zara's own people, Kalians fleeing from their dying homeworld. Jake watched as his crew worked tirelessly to save hundreds of aliens they had never seen before. Dr. Carter called Jake to help set up temporary living spaces for the refugees. As they worked, Jake noticed something strange about the Kalian survivors. Unlike Zara, they seemed emotionally flat. They thanked the human crew politely, but there was no warmth in their voices. They didn't seem to care about each other, even family members. They're like we were before the plague fully took hold, Zara explained sadly. They can still function, but they cannot feel. They are grateful for your help, but they cannot express it the way I can. Jake looked at the Kalian refugees and felt his heart break a little. They looked lost and empty, going through the motions of living without really being alive. Is there any way to help them? He asked. I do not know, Zara admitted. But seeing how your people respond to crisis, how you care for strangers without expecting anything in return gives me hope. Perhaps humans can teach us what we have forgotten. That night, Jake lay in his bunk thinking about everything that had happened. He had started this assignment thinking he was just babysitting an alien. Now he realized he was part of something much bigger. Maybe humans really were special in the galaxy. Maybe their ability to love and hope and sacrifice for others was a gift that could help heal an entire dying species. For the first time in his life, Jake Morrison felt like what he did mattered on a cosmic scale. And it was all because an alien had helped him see his own species clearly. Tomorrow he would continue learning about Zara's people and teaching her about humans. But tonight, he felt proud to be human in a way he never had before. Working with the Kalian refugees changed everything for Jake and Zara. They spent their days together trying to help her people adjust to life aboard the UES Horizon. Jake quickly learned that the other Kalians were very different from Zara. The refugees were polite but distant. They followed instructions and accepted help, but they showed no joy, no curiosity, no real emotion at all. It was like watching people go through the motions of living without actually being alive. They were not always like this, Zara explained, as they watched a group of Kalian children playing a game that had no laughter, no excitement, just mechanical movements. Before the emotional plague spread, my people were full of life and feeling. These children have never experienced true happiness or wonder. Jake felt sick watching them. How did this happen to your people? Our scientists believe it started as a defense mechanism, Zara said sadly. We are naturally telepathic, which means we can feel each other's emotions very strongly. As our population grew larger, the emotional input became overwhelming. People began shutting down their feelings to protect themselves from the constant noise of others' emotions. But you're different, Jake observed. You can still feel things. I was sent away from our homeworld when I was very young. Before the plague fully affected me, I spent years alone in space, and without other Kalians around, my emotional abilities slowly came back. But even I am not fully healed. Dr. Carter joined them in the ship's main recreation area, where they had been trying to teach the Kalian refugees about human games and entertainment. Most of the aliens sat quietly, watching but not participating. I've been studying their brain patterns, Dr. Carter said quietly. The emotional centers are all intact, but they're like muscles that haven't been used in years. The connections are still there, but they're very weak. Can they be strengthened? Jake asked. Theoretically, yes. But it would take time and the right kind of stimulation. They need to see and experience positive emotions from others before they can remember how to feel them again. Jake looked around at the human crew members, who were patiently trying to engage with the Kalian refugees. Some were showing them card games. Others were sharing pictures of Earth and stories about their families. The humans were giving freely of their time and attention, asking nothing in return. They're getting the right kind of stimulation, Jake said. Look at how our crew is treating them. Yes, Zara agreed, and for the first time in days, Jake heard her musical sound of wonder. Your people are showing mine what compassion looks like. Even though my people cannot respond the way humans, expect your crew continues to offer friendship and care. Over the following weeks, Jake and Zara worked as a team to bridge the gap between the two species. Jake's engineering skills proved useful in modifying the ship's systems to accommodate Kalian needs, while Zara's knowledge of her people's culture helped the humans understand what they were dealing with. But something unexpected was happening. The more time Jake spent with Zara, the more he realized she was changing too. Her emotional responses were becoming stronger and more complex. She was learning to feel things she had never experienced before. Jake Morrison, she said one evening, as they worked together in the ship's workshop, I must tell you something strange. When I watch the human crew caring for my people, I feel something I have never felt before. What kind of feeling? Jake asked, looking up from the Kalian communication device he was trying to repair. It is difficult to describe. When I see Bobby Kim teaching Kalian children human games, even though they do not respond with enthusiasm, I feel warm inside. When I watch Captain Grant spending extra time to make sure the refugees are comfortable, my heart feels full. Jake smiled. I think what you're describing is gratitude, but maybe something deeper. Love, maybe. Love for people who are helping your family. Love. Zara repeated the word slowly. Is it possible for someone like me to feel love? I think you already do feel it, Jake said. You love your people, or you wouldn't have spent so much time trying to help them. And I think you care about the humans who are helping them. Zara was quiet for a moment, then asked, Do you think I could learn to love the way humans do? Not just caring from a distance, but real personal love? Jake stopped working and looked at her directly. Over the past few weeks, he had grown to respect and admire Zara more than anyone he had ever known. She was intelligent, kind, brave, and completely dedicated to helping others. Somewhere along the way, his feelings for her had grown beyond friendship. I think you already have learned, he said softly. At least I hope you have. What do you mean? Jake took a deep breath. Zara, I think I'm falling in love with you. Not just because you're alien or exotic, but because of who you are. You're the most caring, thoughtful person I've ever met. You've taught me to see the best parts of humanity, and you've shown me what real courage looks like. Zara's skin glowed brighter than Jake had ever seen it. Her large, dark eyes filled with something that looked like tears. Jake Morrison, I do not know if what I feel is the same as human love, but I know that thinking about you makes me happy. Being near you makes me feel safe and hopeful. Is that love? It sounds like love to me, Jake said, reaching out to take her hand. Her skin was warm and seemed to pulse with gentle electricity. Then I think I'm learning to love, Zara said wonderfully, and if I can learn this, perhaps there is hope for all my people. Just then, Dr. Carter burst into the workshop looking excited. Jake, Zara, you need to come see this. Something amazing is happening with the Kalian children. They followed him to the recreation area, where a small miracle was taking place. One of the Kalian children, a little girl about 8 years old, was laughing. It wasn't the musical sound that Zara made, but actual childish giggling as a human crew member tickled her gently. It started about an hour ago, Dr. Carter explained. She began responding to play in a way we haven't seen from any of the other refugees. And look at this. He pointed to the child's parents, who were watching their daughter with expressions of wonder and confusion. For the first time since coming aboard, they looked like they were feeling something real. The emotional connections are coming back, Zara breathed. This child is remembering how to feel joy, and it's affecting her parents. If it can happen with one family, it can happen with others, Jake said. Your people aren't lost, Zara. They just need time and the right environment to heal. As they watched, More Kalian adults began to gather around the laughing child, drawn by something they couldn't quite understand, but desperately wanted to remember. The human crew members continued to play and interact naturally, not forcing anything, just being themselves. "Jake Morrison," Zara said, squeezing his hand. "I think you and your people are going to save my species, not with medicine or technology, but with something much more powerful." "What's that?" "Love," she said simply. "You are teaching us to love again." Jake looked around at his fellow humans, who were patiently and kindly working to help a species they barely understood. He thought about Captain Grant's decision to risk their ship for strangers. He thought about his crewmates giving their time and energy to help people who couldn't even thank them properly yet. Maybe humans really were special in the galaxy. And maybe, just maybe, their greatest strength was exactly what Zara said it was: their incredible capacity to love. 3 months after the rescue, life aboard the UES Horizon had settled into a new normal. Many of the Kalian refugees were showing signs of emotional recovery. Children were playing with genuine joy, parents were bonding with their families, again, and adults were forming friendships with both humans and other Kalians. Jake and Zara had become inseparable. They worked together every day, and their relationship had grown deeper than either had thought possible. Zara was learning to experience the full range of human emotions, while Jake had discovered a purpose in life he never knew he wanted. But their happiness was about to be tested. The morning started like any other, until Captain Grant's urgent voice came over the ship's communication system. "All senior staff and Kalian representatives to the bridge immediately. We have incoming ships." Jake and Zara hurried to the bridge, where they found the crew staring at the main view screen. 5 large Kalian warships had appeared and were moving toward the horizon. "They've been hailing us for the past 10 minutes, reported the communications officer. "They're demanding we return their people immediately." Dr. Carter looked worried. "These must be ships from the Kalian government. I imagine they want their refugees back." Captain Grant turned to Zara. "Do you know anything about this?" Zara's skin had gone pale, and she looked frightened. "These are enforcement ships from the High Council. They do not negotiate. If they want something, they take it." "But your people came to us for help," Jake protested. "They were dying out there." "The Council does not care about individual lives," Zara said sadly. "They care about maintaining control. And She stopped, looking even more worried. "What is it?" Captain Grant asked. "I was declared dead when my ship was lost. If they discover I am alive and have regained my emotional abilities, they will want to study me. They will take me back to the homeworld and use me for experiments." Jake felt his heart sink. The idea of losing Zara was unbearable, but even worse was the thought of her being used as a test subject by her own people. The main view screen lit up with an incoming transmission. A tall Kalian male appeared, his face marked with the silver patterns that indicated high rank. Unlike Zara and the refugees, his expression was completely cold and emotionless. "Human vessel, I am Commander Vex of the Kalian Enforcement Fleet. You are harboring stolen property of the Kalian Empire. Return our citizens immediately, or face the consequences." Captain Grant stepped forward. "Commander, these people came to us as refugees. They were in distress and we offered humanitarian aid. They are Kalian citizens. Their status is not your concern. You have 1 hour to transfer them to our ships." "And if we refuse?" Captain Grant asked. "Then we will take them by force. Your small ship cannot stand against our fleet." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. "Captain," Jake said urgently, "we can't let them take these people back. You've seen how much better they're getting. If they go back to their old environment, they'll lose all the progress they've made." "I know, Jake, but we can't fight 5 warships." Zara stepped forward. "There is another way, but it will require great risk." Everyone turned to look at her. "What are you thinking?" Dr. Carter asked. "In Kalian culture, there is an ancient law that has never been broken. If someone declares another person as their forever bond, that person becomes untouchable by Kalian authorities. It is our most sacred relationship, even higher than family or government loyalty. What exactly does that mean? Captain Grant asked. It means that if I declare someone as my forever bond, the Council cannot force me to return. And as the only Kalian who has recovered from the emotional plague, my testimony about human healing methods would carry great weight. Jake felt his pulse quicken. You're talking about staying with us permanently? More than that, Zara said, looking directly at Jake. I am talking about declaring you as my forever bond, Jake Morrison. It would mean choosing you over my entire species, over my homeworld, over everything I have ever known. The bridge was completely silent. Jake stared at Zara, overwhelmed by what she was suggesting. Zara, he said quietly, you don't have to. Do this for me. I won't let you sacrifice your whole life just to stay with humans. You do not understand, Zara said, her skin beginning to glow with emotion. I am not sacrificing anything. I am choosing everything I want most in the universe. Before Jake could respond, the communications officer announced, the Kalian ships are moving into attack formation. They're powering weapons. Captain Grant made a quick decision. Open a channel to all 5 ships. Channel open, Captain. Commander. Vex, before you take any hostile action, one of your people wishes to make a formal declaration under Kalian law. There was a pause. Then Vex's face reappeared on the screen. What declaration? Zara stepped into view of the camera. Jake could see the shock on Vex's face as he recognized her. Agent Zara Kelnox, Vex said in surprise. You were reported dead. I survived, Commander, and I have learned something that could save our entire species. But first I must make a declaration that is my right under the ancient laws. Vex looked suspicious but nodded. Speak your declaration. Zara took Jake's hand and faced the camera. Her voice rang out clear and strong. Before all Kalians and under the ancient laws that bind our people, I declare Jake Morrison of Earth to be my forever bond. He is my chosen one, my heart's companion, my soul's match. By this declaration, I choose to bond my life to his for all time. The effect on the Kalian bridge was immediate. Even the emotionless Commander Vex looked stunned. Agent Zara Kelnox, do you understand what you have just declared? You have chosen an alien over your own species. I have chosen love over emptiness, Zara replied firmly. I have chosen hope over despair. I have chosen life over mere existence. She turned to Jake, and her next words were meant for him alone, though the entire Kalian fleet could hear them. Jake Morrison, you have shown me what it means to truly live. You have taught me that courage is not the absence of fear, but choosing to love despite that fear. You have given me back my heart, my soul, my ability to feel joy and wonder and hope. Jake felt tears running down his face. Zara, let me finish, she said gently. You asked me once what love feels like. Now I know. Love feels like coming home after being lost in space for your entire life. Love feels like finding the one person in the universe who makes you want to be better than you ever thought possible. She turned back to the camera, her skin glowing so brightly that she looked like a living star. Commander Vex, I have regained my emotional abilities by learning from humans. They have shown me that love is not a weakness to be suppressed, but the greatest strength any being can possess. If you want to save our people, you must learn from them as I have. Vex was quiet for a long moment. You truly believe these humans can heal our plague? I know they can. Not with medicine or technology, but with something far more powerful. They can teach us to love again. Another long pause. Finally, Vex spoke. Agent Zara Kelnox, your forever bond declaration is recognized under the ancient laws. You are free to remain with the humans. However, I request that you serve as an ambassador between our peoples. Will you teach us what you have learned? Zara looked at Jake, who nodded encouragingly. I will, she said, but the teaching must happen here, in an environment where emotions can flourish. Send volunteers who are willing to learn. Let them live among humans and experience what I have experienced. It will be done, Vex agreed. We will establish a joint colony ship, half human and half Kalian. He will oversee the emotional rehabilitation program. As the transmission ended, Jake turned to Zara with wonder in his eyes. Did we just start the first interspecies emotional therapy program in galactic history? Zara laughed. That beautiful, musical sound that Jake now knew meant pure joy. We did something even better, Jake Morrison. We proved that love can literally save a species. Captain Grant smiled at them both. Well, it looks like we're going to need a bigger ship. 6 months later, Jake and Zara stood on the bridge of the new joint vessel UES KDV Unity, watching as human and Kalian children played together in the observation deck below. The Kalian children were laughing now. Their parents were forming deep friendships with humans, and a new generation was growing up learning that love was strength, not weakness. Jake Morrison, Zara said, leaning against his shoulder. Do you ever regret that your simple assignment to teach one alien about human culture ended up changing the galaxy? Jake smiled and kissed the top of her head. Not for a second. Besides, I got the best part of the deal. What is that? I got you. My forever. Zara's laughter filled the bridge like music, and Jake knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Human and Kalian, two species learning that the most powerful force in the universe was not technology or weapons, or even knowledge. It was love. And love, they had discovered, could indeed conquer all.